Sean right here with David Bay at the New York Pro Championships, where prejudging has just concluded. We're going to start things off with our 212-pound division. David, how'd it look in the 212 division?
It was a pretty solid lineup for the most part. Guy Cisternino walked out, first competitor to come out. And looking at the lineup, we kind of figured he was going to be the front runner. He most certainly was. He kind of opened and shut the door right away walking out. That said, some good competition. Kim Jun Ho, last year's Arnold Amateur winner, making his pro debut here. First ever pro bodybuilder from Seoul, Korea. He looks like he's going to be in second place. The head judge, Jim Mannion, sent him and Guy off stage after the first call out was done. So there's your clear 1 and 2. And again, Guy's just got too much size for Kim.
Well, he does have a lot of size, but I'm going to contradict what you just said. I still think this is a contest that's going to be decided tonight. You think it's an open and shut case? I think that Kim looked actually a little bit harder in certain poses, and so for that reason alone, if he hardens up a little bit more and Guy happens to soften up, which you know the bodies can change in hours, that's going to be a dogfight. I know the Guy's got the advantage of being the hometown favorite, but this guy Kim is the real deal. So I'm going to wait to see what happens tonight.
Yeah, I think Kim looks great, and I think the fans will really appreciate his look. You know, we talk so much about these throwback to these aesthetic physiques and even his posing and everything. So I think the fans of the old school physiques, again, will really appreciate Kim, especially coming out in his pro debut looking like this. I mean, it was a very strong showing for a guy who has never been on a pro stage before.
Right. Well, and there's a couple other guys that just, you know, made a splash. Little Sean Clarita was holding his own up there. I mean, no slouch. He was vastly improved.
Yeah, you know, I really like Sean's look, and you know, he's never going to be able to do anything about his stature and his frame, but he brings it every single time. You know, last year he was second call out, placed ahead of some guys, but he was still 12th or 13th. Looks like he's going to be around, you know, 6th place or so. He got moved to the middle of the second call out, so that was good for him. But the guy is doing as much as he possibly can with that frame, and in my opinion, he's doing a really good job with it.
Absolutely. And let's get to the beef, man. I mean, the reason we are here in New York, you know, Victor Martinez is no stranger to winning the New York Pro Championships. There's another guy that's trying to become the new king of New York in Juan Diesel Moran.
Yeah, Juan got 4th place in 2012, 3rd place in 2013, 2nd place in 2014. Obviously looking to make it first spot here in 2015. Sure. It's going to be tight between him and Victor. Really interesting first call out, just 2 guys. I don't know that I've ever seen a 2-guy first call out. We've seen that at the end a lot of times at the Olympia. We've seen that between Jay and Ronnie and Phil and Kai more recently.
Dorian and Haney.
Yeah, and so we've seen these 2-guy call outs, but rarely is it the first call out. So the judges made it clear right from the get-go that Juan and Victor were the favorites. If I had to pick somebody from this morning, I'd go with Victor, a slight edge. You know, I think Victor's a little bit more complete as far as his legs. You know, Juan's legs might be lacking a little bit of sweep in the front. When he turns to the side, his legs look really good, so he just still needs a little bit more sweep. I think Juan's lat spread might be a little bit better than Victor's. Victor's rear double bicep a little bit better than Juan's. So it's really one of these things where you got to start going pose for pose between those two. The judges brought him back out at the end again, just those top 2. So it'll be interesting.
Again, it's a sport of opinion, and I had just the opposite. I had Juan Morel actually scoring more points for improvement. The back was noticeably improved. Still needs some work on the lower back. Had the X or the V taper that I thought, you know, Victor would come out here and actually minimize that on him, but Juan was so much more bigger. He actually looked fuller and healthier across the delts, shoulders, and arms. I'm not so sure that he didn't, you know, take Victor to the ropes. When they turned around from the rear, with the back being so much more improved, Victor looking like Victor, I have to give him some points. Not to mention, most notably, Victor's legs were considerably down, and Juan Morel's were considerably the same. So, all things being even, this thing's going to be a dogfight, I think, as far as condition. Condition's going to win this because Victor has the genetics, but Juan has the improvements. And we're going to find out tonight. This is not over by any means at all.
No, and you know, moving on past Juan and Victor, you know, an interesting lineup. Max Charles came out. Max, in my opinion, he looked like he was having a little bit of difficulty posing. His upper body was, I don't know, I don't want to say it was the best in the show because his back, but from the front, Max's upper body to me just was just above everybody else. Alexander Fedorov, you know, I like my underdogs, and you know, Fedorov coming back after 10 years. I was really excited to see him in Orlando. You know, started the discussion on the boards. Is that 8 days enough time for Alex to really make the kind of improvements to make a splash here? To me, he looked about as good as he did Saturday in Orlando. So he was better than his initial appearance at Prejudging in Orlando. But I don't know that he made really any improvements from a week ago. The judges put him in the second call out. You know, the guy's as big as a house, and that was apparent here, but not a front runner. runner. You know, some of the other guys that came out, Pablo Ayala, you know, same as Orlando, downsized from last year. Henriano from Canada, really nice structure and a real pretty physique that I think the old school guys will like. Not enough mass to roll here.
I mean, at the end of the day, listen, this is a contest where it's open to anyone. I'm disappointed that more A-listers weren't here trying to get back to that Mr. Olympia championships. Again, they called out 2 guys for a reason, because it looked like there were only 2 guys here that were fully prepared to do battle, and that was Juan and Victor. They didn't have far to travel because they're local boys, but after that, it becomes an international mix of athletes that are still trying to figure it out. And, you know, not for nothing, this used to be a competition that the top 5 were top 5 Olympians. I am so glad that this time around, there's only one guy that's going to wind up going to the Mr. Olympia, and that's going to be the winner. One guy that's the veteran in Victor Martinez. Juan Morel would desperately love to take that torch and run right into the Olympia and shut it down and get ready for that show. What else do we have? I know we had some women.
Yeah, we had a handful of other divisions here. You know, there weren't a lot of surprises. Men's physique, top 4, Acton, Antipov. We did have a couple new faces, George Brown and Chase Savoy. I have Chase for the winner. Really good look, top to bottom. Has that men's physique look too. So
what's in the women's physique?
We're looking in the women's physique. I'm just going to move on to the women's figure. I got my list here. Right. So women's figure, no surprises. Allison Fran and Latoria Watts are going to be your top 2 there.
Interesting, because they're kind of shorter stature.
Yeah, Latoria 4th place at the Olympia, 3rd at the Arnold. So, you know, to me, she was you know, kind of a front runner. Interesting to see Bethany Wagner. You guys, formerly Bethany Sister Nino, retook her maiden name. She switched over from fitness back to figure. She's going to be in that top 5. So, you know, definitely a good division there. Moving forward into the women's bikini.
Are you going to break down the women's bikini?
No, hey, man.
It's pretty brave.
I love bikini. No surprises there. Courtney King, Stephanie Mahoy, India Paulino, Bianca Berry, top 4. Yeah. No surprises there. The one thing I will say about all the women's lineups here is really for as disappointed as we were in the men's lineups, the women's lineups were very competitive. Sean and I were sitting there during the women's physique, and like every woman that came out, aside from maybe a small handful, we were like, "Wow, she looks great. She looks great." A very diverse crowd of women in the physique, and that's what I'm at now. We did see some girls who were a lot more muscular, had more of that bodybuilder look, still very impressive. So, you know, the women really brought it. In the women's physique, it looks like it's going to be Michelle Cummings was put to the middle. She stayed there the whole time next to Gloria Falls and Tammy Marie. That looking like your top 3.
Definitely the women was much more competitive across the board in depth than the men's, but this is a competition about the men. This New York Pro Championships was built on the back of testosterone bodybuilders, and some great champions come through here. I mean, I know Phil Heath had won this show, Kite Green has won the show, Jay Cutler. This is a title, a very prestigious title to have, not to mention going into the Mr. Olympia representing the East Coast. So right now we got 2 New Yorkers representing, trying to fight for #1. We're going to come back here in a few short hours. I think it's 4 hours to the finals, and these athletes do have an opportunity to change their appearance and improve. 50% of the scoring will be done tonight here at the IFBB New York Pro. For David Bay, I'm Sean Ray.